Hi, brothers and sisters. Today I want to share a couple dreams that line up with foreign troops on our soil, and a lot of the stuff that is going around YouTube today. So I'm just gonna go off my memory from what the Lord has reminded me of, instead of going back through my journal, pulling everything out. I may, if I'm led to, I may make more detailed messages later on regarding that. But I'm just going to give you some of the things that I've seen, because I really feel like the Lord has been showing me wars coming to our country, and He's been showing me Chinese and Russian troops on our soil, and there's a lot of talk about this going around right now, and people have had dreams and seen things, and so I just feel like I've got pieces as well, and so I want to share those pieces too. So okay, so I had a dream where I was in a house and I was looking out the window, and I noticed a huge sinkhole in the middle of the street, and all of the neighbors were gathering around looking down into the sinkhole, and I knew that I was getting ready for a wedding. So I was inside trying to find something to wear for the wedding, but I happened to look out the front window, and what I seen was the sinkhole, but inside the sinkhole was our military, and they were all thrown in there like a bunch of ants, and they were all crawling on top of each other trying to get out of the sinkhole, but not one of them made it out of the sinkhole. I also had dreams where I seen Humvees on our soil, and it looked like they were going from the north, either they were going north to south or they were going east to west. I seen them, and it was dark outside, and I seen them coming down one ramp into the cities and going up the other side of the ramp, getting back onto the highway. They were black. All of the Humvees were black, and there were people that were directing them and sending them in different areas. And I recall, like, at one point they were arguing over who was going to lead and who was going to send who where. I've had multiple dreams of warplanes overhead, and in some of them it was just actually in two of them it was a perfectly sunny day, and the planes started flying over. At one, I just seen the planes flying overhead, and we were all looking out car windows up at the planes that were over us. But this one that I just had recently, within the last few months, I was actually driving down a street on a bus, and I had to get something off the bus, so the bus stopped, and I got out to pick up something off the curb, and I started seeing planes coming overhead, and they began shooting at me while I was standing on the side of the street. And what was interesting was I believe that this was in California, because when my husband was stationed there was a street that was right by the base where he was, and I'm pretty sure that I was standing on that street when these when these planes opened fired at me. They were headed towards the base. And this was in California. I'm not going to say exactly where, but it's in Southern California, is that I believe that I was at. I also seen warships on our soil. They were, I'm pretty sure that I was standing in the north facing south, and what it reminded me of was looking down towards Florida, and all along the east coast there were gray ships, large gray ships, and they were all side by side, and I noticed them, and as I noticed them they became larger, which tells me that they were headed towards the shore. And after I seen them, then I panned down to what I felt like in my dream was Miami, and all of the city was completely smoldering. It wasn't standing at all. There was not a building standing. There was fire at some point, but the fire was out. It was just smoldering. And so I think that this was like, I wasn't like, I was a observer in this dream, because the next thing I know, it was dark outside right after I seen the building smoldering, and I was hiding under a picnic table with a bunch of other people, and we started hearing some talk, but they were foreign soldiers, and I didn't understand what they were saying, but all of a sudden the picnic table flipped over and they started pulling us out from underneath the picnic table one at a time. But they were women. They looked like Asian women in blue uniforms. And we didn't understand what they wanted, but we knew they wanted us to go with them. So they took everybody with them. And then the scene switched, and I was at a train station, and I was waiting to board this train with other people that had been captured. And at that point, I seen my husband, and he runs up to me and he says, they told me if I drank this blue concoction that they would let us go, so I'm going to go drink it and then I'll come back and get you. And I started screaming to him, no, don't go, it's a lie. Don't go drink whatever they're asking you to drink, it's a lie. And he said, no, they told me that they'll let us go. And so he's like, I'll be right back. And he let go of my hands and he left. And so they ushered us onto this train, and as the train was pulling away, I couldn't see anything around me or anyone around me. I knew I was on a train, and I was sitting in the middle of the train, almost like on a stool, or like it was like there was additional seating inside the train, not just what was on the edges, additional seating. But I was sitting there, and as the train started to pull away, I was pulled sideways, and I knew that I was being pulled into the chest of the Lord. So I knew he was on the train. I also seen Chinese troops rounding people up in the middle of the night, and they were putting them in apartment complexes. They were like apartment complexes that had just one room in them, but they were taking them off the street. They were putting them into the complexes, and then the Holy Spirit showed me, as they were all stuck in these rooms, and there was a couple people per room, there was a glass. It was like a glass they couldn't see through. The people in the room could not see anything written on the glass, but on the other side there were numbers, and it was like a camera that was being shown, so they knew what was going on in the room. So the people that were monitoring knew what was going on inside the room, and they were monitoring, and it was pulling up on the monitor what was going on inside that room, like what they were thinking, what their heart rates were. That's just what I kept feeling in my spirit. They were monitoring what they were doing without being in the room. I also seen myself being rounded up in a box car, like a truck. I was a truck, but it was like a box car truck. And the truck was pulling into neighborhoods, and I don't really I didn't see anybody. I think I might have seen maybe one person running towards the truck, but I was already in the truck, and the truck was completely covered and the back was down, but I knew that the neighborhood had already been cleared out. There was no one in the neighborhood. They were already all in the truck behind me. Trying to look to see if there's anything else. There might be some more stuff here that the Lord wants me to add, but I just feel like the Lord's really been pressing in my spirit lately that war's coming here, and that we need to get ourselves prepared for it. And just some of these dreams that I've had shows me that these are things that are going to come, and I don't know if I was actually experiencing these things, or I'm going to experience these things, or if I was experiencing them as a Christian. I don't really know, but I know in all of them there wasn't any of these dreams that I had fear in my spirit. None. It didn't matter what was happening. I didn't have any fear in my spirit. So I think that's all. That's all right now that I'm going to share on this video. If they're too long, it takes forever for them to upload. So I'm going to upload that one. So we need to be praying for our nation. We need to be praying for our brothers and sisters, no matter who they are. We need to be praying for them, because bad things are coming, and the Lord's going to allow this to happen, because when we're attacked and when they come in, it's going to drive people to the Lord, and that's ultimately what he wants to do. He wants these people to come to him, and this is going to drive a lot of people in. I think there's going to be a lot of death and destruction, and these are going to be for people that have probably already made their decision, but those who have not made their decisions yet, or those who are on the fence, this is definitely going to be an eye-opener and an awakening for them. All right, guys, I'll be back shortly with some more stuff from the Lord. Take care now.